important also in this area is that internal competition is free but fair at the same time. And because we received several pieces of information, the President Ursula von der Leyen decided to start the investigation into the possible subsidies for exports of Chinese electric vehicles to European Union. And of course, we will conduct it in all fairness and with all transparency, and we'll be gathering all the necessary data.
But is the plan, do you think, at this stage to increase tariffs on EVs from China, or is it more likely that we will see the EU providing more subsidies to European car makers? What's the solution here?
Yes, I think we are very far from imposing import duties for Chinese vehicles because, these investigations, to be fair, must be conducted properly. But in the meantime, it's clear that we have to redouble our efforts to make sure that our car industry remains very competitive. We've been always very proud that the best, safest, cleanest cars been manufactured in Europe. And we definitely want that this would continue to be the case also in the future. And therefore, we work a lot with the battery sectors, with the car manufacturers. And I am now organizing different sets of industrial roundtables when I want to discuss even closer with the European car industry, what they need, where we can help so we can really roll out more EVs models and be strong not only on European but on the global markets as well.
Now, this investigation into Chinese subsidies is very important in the context that the European Union actually wants to ban the sale of new diesel cars by 2035. So there's quite a lot of focus now from a European perspective in supporting EV making in the bloc, in the EU. Now, this conversation with the Vice President came in the context of the UN meetings, in particular the conversations that are happening in New York over climate change. And here I asked the Vice President about whether the plan from the European Union is actually to water down some of the legislation that we have seen in recent years, because we have heard more and more center-right politicians in the bloc making comments that there's too much legislation and that they need to be careful about how this impacts their livelihoods in the EU.
If the need be, we're ready for adjustment, we're ready to fine-tune our proposals, and the same has to be done with industry. So we will have a series of the industrial roundtables with those industries which are the mostly affected by the green transition, because we have to work on support. We have to cherish the support we got from the public opinion, and it requires permanent work, permanent effort and engagement. And this is what the President of the Commission and myself will be doing from now on until the end of the mandate. So we can count on our citizens, but also on our industry to support us in these efforts.
But if you're here to the side of the business, of course, they either want more help to achieve carbon neutrality, and that probably means more subsidies. At the same time, you have this pressure from the public that you need to do more. And at the same time, you have these European elections coming up. How can you square all of this? Can you guarantee to us that the EU plan is actually not to water down this green legislation? Because that's what some are expecting at this stage.
No, I can guarantee that, because really our way forward is definitely not based on dilution of ambition, but on really working closely with our citizens and with the industry to make sure that industry will become more competitive, that the industry will prosper in Europe, and all that innovation which is coming from our universities and labs will be rolled out on the European market. At the same time, you're absolutely right. We have to listen to the public opinion, to the citizens, and if there is a need to look for better solutions here and there, we should simply listen very carefully and see what we can do, because this consensus we had in Europe around the importance of tackling climate change is very precious, and we have to make sure that it will be like that also in the coming months, especially in the period when we are approaching European Parliament elections.